So now we are going to make Crème Diplomat. It's a very favorite component for me, using it in a lot of places, in desserts and cakes, and this is the one I predominantly use whenever there is a requirement for a whipping cream. So this is whipping cream that is available readily in the baking supply store. That's a non-dairy whipping cream. If you choose to use dairy whipping cream, if you have the availability, fine. But in places where we do not have access to the dairy whipping cream, majorly, or then the cost factor comes in picture, because non-dairy whipping cream is like quite easily available in different brands. So this is easily accessible, so I prefer to go with that. But the fact that this is not adding a lot of flavor and just gives a bland feel to the desserts and the cakes, then there I have to think what I can do better. Also, to the Fondbites students, for like so many years when we've been doing cakes and different desserts, this is a secret recipe that I ask my students to keep it secret again, but I still consider calling it like this is our signature cream. That is what we will continue to call it in place of wherever you're going to use the Crème Diplomat. So this is the whipping cream and the pastry cream. See, the addition of the yolk based cream and then the custard powder based pastry cream, and with that little milk that is added in the pastry cream, that turns this non-dairy cream with the flavor of the milk or the yolk and the custard powder, depending on whether you're using the egg or the eggless version. And when you add that, it also stiffens the cream, gives it the shade of a very pale pastel vanilla, and this by itself will become a vanilla mousse wherever we have to use it, because there is no other flavor addition to it. And this Crème Diplomat forms the basis of making a lot of different mousses that we will be doing. We could flavor this with ganache and then create a chocolate mousse. We could flavor this with strawberry compote, then we get the strawberry mousse. Flavor it with caramel sauce, we have the caramel mousse, and a lot of different variations like the orange curd, and then this becomes an orange mousse. So whenever you have to make a mousse, this is the basis that we have to do. The pastry cream is the first step, and then we move on and then make the Crème Diplomat, that is the second step. When these both combine, we have the third element, which is the actual flavor itself. When that gets combined with the Crème Diplomat, then we start having a wide range of mousses that we could make. So let's get started with making the Crème Diplomat, and I'm just going to get the stand mixer in. I'm first going to add the pastry cream in, because it comes from the refrigerator. You want it cool. The whipping cream, the non-dairy whipping cream are stored in freezer, but when you have to use it on your cake, you need to thaw the non-dairy whipping cream in the refrigerator and allow the solid chunks of the frozen whipping cream to become liquid, but you want it cold. Do not keep it at room temperature, because the whipping cream has to be cold for it to start whipping. Now this pastry cream was in the refrigerator, so it is a bit solid form. I'm going to beat that first so it just gets rid of the lumps and becomes smooth, after which I'm going to add the whipping cream and continue whipping until I have really stiff, silky, smooth and shiny Crème Diplomat. See how this looks. We've just made the pastry cream light. Okay, so into this I'm going to add the whipping cream all together. And then beat this first on slow speed and then increase speed, go to high, and then keep beating until you have really stiff peaks. I'm just going to scrape down. I'm just going to stop in between to show. These are just the um, not even soft peaks. It is beginning to thicken up, but you can see the stiff peaks is not there. It's still in the flowy consistency, right? So this is just in between, but then you can see the runny whipping cream is just beginning to whip up, and we need to continue beating this until we have stiff peaks. Let's check again how the consistency has changed. Now these are close to soft peaks. Okay, you can see it is better than the last time I opened and showed. It is not flowy, it is holding the shape, but you can see the peaks, soft peaks are something like when you just lift the spatula and the peaks here just drop down and they are not standing stiff. Okay, so this peak is just falling down and it is not staying up stiff. So this is the one that drops down, and we know that it is soft peaks. It is not flowy, but the peaks are not stiff. So which means we need to continue to beat this furthermore and get it to stiff peaks. So now I'm going to check how it looks. You can see it is gotten a little stiffer than what it was before. Okay, so it's still holding shape. Let's see how the peaks are. Okay, so you can see it is not dripping down. Okay, it is just holding there and it is not falling down anymore, which means the stiff peaks are there. I just want to go underneath, mix it up well to check if the peaks are holding. Yes, but I'd like to make it a little more stiffer, because when this forms the basis of the mousse, now when I'm going to mix it up with the components like the strawberry compote or the chocolate ganache, I would be folding it furthermore, and I want it to be like really stiff when that stage happens, because if this is at the right consistency at this point of time, if I have to use it as a vanilla mousse from here, then I could stop at this stage. Now if this is a base for something else that I would like to mix it up on later, I'd like to go on and then beat this a little more stiffer than this first stage of stiff thing that I had just showed. You have to go a little further beyond that. So we have it at a little over whipped stage. So when we are going to mix this next time with a ganache or a compote, it shouldn't loosen up for that sake. Here we're just going to take it a little more than the stiff peaks. So let's check it now. So you can see it is quite stiffer than what it was before, and this forms a really beautiful base for adding it into any. Okay, so it is like stiff like a knife, you can see. So now we've made Crème Diplomat. Once you've made at this stage, now we are going to also keep mixing it with few other components, right, like I said. So once you've made this, like when the right time to make Crème Diplomat is when you actually need to use it. Now you have made, say if you're going to use it on your tarts or cupcakes or to lay your cakes, this is the last thing that you will do, because whatever you need to flavor it with, say the caramel sauce or the chocolate ganache or the strawberry compote, orange curd for that matter, they all have to be pre-made. Okay, you cannot pre-make this and keep. You need to keep this right when you are ready to layer or fill your desserts or frost your cupcakes at that stage. So now even the cupcakes or the cakes, the tart bases or anything for that matter is already done. This is the last thing. So when you have made this, try to avoid to use the spatula and then loosen up what you've made, because we have taken it to the stiff peaks that it is supposed to be, for a reason that we are going to also mix it with something else. At that time it will have the tendency to loosen up a bit. Now if you are going to overwork with it at this stage, it will try and loosen now itself, and when you're going to mix it up with something else, then it is further going to loosen and not hold stiff peaks if you're going to pipe it on a cupcake or layer it or fill within a layered cake and then frost a cake. So this is the exact beautiful consistency of the Crème Diplomat that we are looking at, and this will be further used in a lot of other places in this course. And okay, so I'm not talking about storing of Crème Diplomat, because Crème Diplomat has to be made and just to be right enough. From this bowl we have to start using it or fill a piping bag and then use it directly. Only what you have left over has to be stored, which could be used the next day, and that storage could be in a airtight container and in the refrigerator. But do not make it ahead of time. We'll just have it in the bowl and then transfer it into smaller balls to whatever flavors we need to use, or shift it to a piping bag and then directly use to fill a cake that you call it whipped cream frosted. Wherever there is a requirement for using a whipping cream, cake or cupcake of anything for that matter, this is what you will do, Crème Diplomat. But you don't have to call it Crème Diplomat. This is a signature cream that you've learned, that you will keep it as a secret, and that will form as a base for flavoring in a lot of other permutations and combinations. So we'll look in another lesson how we are going to use this.